Welcome to Eagles Draft Central, presented by Dietz Watson. You are looking live at the war room, the draft room, where the Eagles are watching as David Akers emphatically addressed the crowd at AT&T Stadium and announced that with the 49th overall selection, the Eagles take tight end Dallas Goedert, of all places, out South Dakota State. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris McPherson, joined alongside Fran Duffy. If you saw that picture from the draft room, you saw that beautiful, shiny trophy there.
That's
sitting right next to Coach Doug Peterson. David Akers firing up the crowd down there at AT&T Stadium. We all remember the Drew Pearson moment when he took the stage representing the Cowboys last year and got all the Philly fans fired up. Well, David Akers got to go down there and tell them that not only are the Eagles the NFC East champs, the NFC Conference champions, but the Super Bowl champions. So let's get to the pick here,
yes.
Fran. You know, a lot is on the line here because the Eagles leapfrogged the Dallas Cowboys, who were sitting there at number 50. The reports came out today that Jason Witten is strongly considering retirement. In fact, that he's probably going to retire and become an analyst for Monday Night Football, leaving a huge void because apparently the Cowboys had no clue whatsoever that he was going to leave the game of football, leave the Dallas Cowboys after a Hall of Fame career. In fact, Witten was in Dallas helping kick off the festivities for the draft last night. All of a sudden, the Dallas Cowboys have a huge need, and the Eagles probably realizing, look, they're probably eyeing up a tight end. We need to get ahead of them, and they do that by making the trade with the Indianapolis Colts. So, Fran, I know you're fired up about the pick. Tell everyone in Eagles Nation about Dallas Goedert.
So, number one, Dallas Goedert from South Dakota State, two-time All-American player, two-time finalist for the Walter Payton Award, which is the MVP award, the Heisman Trophy of the FCS level. Extremely productive over the course of his career. You could see the numbers there. What I like about Dallas Goedert is he's got the ability to be a three-down tight end, a complete player at the position. He lined up all over the place for the Jackrabbits, in line, out wide, in the slot. He got better each and every week. I watched him from game one of his junior season in 2016 all the way up till the end of his career with South Dakota State. He got better as a route runner from week one on to the end of this season. He is outstanding at the catch point. One of the best hands catchers in this draft. He plays the ball extremely well in the air, and I love the way he competes. Everything he does, whether it's at the catch point, whether it's mid-route trying to create separation, or as a blocker. He's not a mauler yet. He's not, what we've seen from Brent Selleck yet as a blocker, but you see the potential there, a guy that can grow into a complete player at the position. I'm fired up because I know how Doug Peterson and his staff like to use multiple tight ends. Dallas Goedert is going to fit in great with Zach Ertz. It's going to be really fun to watch.
It's interesting because coming into the draft, you looked at the tight end position as a whole, and Zach Ertz, one of the elites in the game, Pro Bowl tight end, no question about his status. But a lot of question marks after him because Brent Selleck leaves the team. You have Trey Burton signing with the Chicago Bears. And yes, the Eagles signed Richard Rodgers to be the number 2 placeholder. But now Dallas Goedert comes here to Philadelphia, and you have really improved the depth of the position from top to bottom, I would say, as compared to a year ago, because Richard Rodgers, he's been productive in the NFL. He had an 8-touchdown season in 2015. Now you look at Zach Ertz coming off an 8-touchdown season, earning Pro Bowl honors, and Dallas Goedert, who has a chance to, like you said, be a complete 3-down tight end for the Eagles.
Yeah, and like I said, you put him with Zach Ertz, and now you force defenses to choose. Are you going to defend Zach Ertz with a safety or a linebacker? And if so, whoever's got the other one, they're going to be able to win that mismatch. Dallas Goedert has got very impressive athleticism. Like I said, he's developing as a route runner. Is he perfect there yet? Is he Zach Ertz there yet? No, but he has shown the ability, the potential to be very, very good in that area. And like I said, the number one thing with him, he is so good at the catch point. Once you get to watch some of these kids' highlights and you get to see him go up and over safeties, run past linebackers, make great one-handed catches along the sideline, you're going to get really excited about Dallas Goedert. I know when I've watched him back last summer, was extremely, extremely impressed with this kid.
So the Eagles leapfrogged the Cowboys to get Dallas Goedert, who reportedly was named after the Dallas Cowboys. So how sweet it can certainly be.
Can't beat it.
No, can't beat it whatsoever. Now, everyone's thinking small school FCS level, but he dominated at that level. That's the biggest thing you want to see. 3-year starter, tremendous production, 21 career touchdowns, almost 3,000 career receiving yards. That's the biggest thing because now everyone looks at quarterback Carson Wentz and saying, these guys can make the leap from FCS to big-time football in the NFL. I'm sure Dallas Goedert now is looking at the path that was carved by Carson Wentz and hoping to follow suit.
Yeah, no question. I think and now you look across the NFL and there's guys from that level of competition. Look at David Johnson coming from Northern Iowa a few years ago, turned into one of the best running backs in the NFL. And then you go off to Carson Wentz, obviously, in 2016 and everything that he's been able to do here in the NFL. I think Dallas Goedert's going to be right in line there with those players. He is outstanding. To me, he was my favorite tight end. I know Mike Gesicki had the great combine workout. Hayden Hurst, had the production in the SEC. He's a little bit older. He went in the first round. To me, Dallas Goedert was the #1 tight end in this class. Overall, he was my favorite one to watch. I've said it from the jump. While Mike Gesicki had the higher upside, Dallas Goedert was my favorite tight end. I am juiced about this pick.
What's going to be interesting is to see how the offense evolves now.
Yeah.
Doug Pearson is looking at this offensive scheme and the success of the RPOs, knowing that defenses are going to key in. Defenses are going to have this whole offseason to be able to study the film, see what different teams have tried, to see what worked, what didn't work, and to come up with new game plans for it. Now, you add another tight end of this kind of caliber to the mix, it just diversifies the offense that much more, because certainly you've got the presence on the outside with Mike Wallace as a speed threat, Alshon Jeffrey as your big go-to guy, and now 2 quality tight ends potentially with Zach Ertz, and now looking here at Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, and really when it comes to the tight end position is that you want to be able to be multiple in terms of how you're using those players, okay? So you don't want to tip your hand. If you've got Zach Ertz and Dallas Goedert on the field at the same time, you don't want the defense to think, oh, it's going to be a run or it's going to be a pass. You want them to be guessing at all times. And when you have a player like Zach Ertz who now you feel pretty confident with him as a blocker and Dallas Goedert showing the ability to do it as well, now you're not going to be predictable as an offense in terms of how you call plays.
All right, now we're going to bring in Eagles insider Dave Spadera, who was embedded in the draft room. He's been following the action. In fact, Dave, got to give you props on the preview show. You said the Eagles will not select at number 52, and you were certainly right.
Right, and now I can tell you right now, there's a big ovation in the draft room here. I'm actually outside the draft room. Eagles worked on this deal for quite a while today, and going into the draft, there was a buzz in the building that the Eagles would have an opportunity to move up in this draft, and obviously they were able to do so at the cost of a 5th-round draft pick. And so the Eagles get that player that we've all been talking about, and Fran, you and Chris have talked about this, another athletic piece for this offense. They use multiple tight ends a lot, and they wanted somebody who really was able to move around the formation, and they got their guy. And in the process, to the great amusement up here, when David Akers was announcing the pick and throwing a little shade on the Dallas Cowboys, had a lot of fun with that as well up here.
So, Dave, was Dallas Goedert the target? Okay, you mentioned that there's been a lot of rumblings. They've been trying to move up, all afternoon and early evening here. Was it specifically Goedert that they had in mind here that they wanted to get? Could you tell from the conversations?
Yeah, and I'll confirm that with either Howie or Joe Douglas, whoever comes out here. But yeah, Chris, they had this kind of in the works all day. This is not something that is thrown together at the last minute. It certainly is finalized at the last minute, but the Eagles felt that they needed this kind of piece for the offense, and Goedert just too talented to pass up at a very minimal cost. The Eagles feeling like they get great value here with Dallas Goedert, and he fits right into this offense.
Dave, you've been covering this team for a long time. You've been in this building for a long time. Have you seen anything like this with the Eagles in the past where you've got 2 really defined matchup problems at that tight end position or even at wide receiver with that kind of size and athleticism and versatility with Zach Ertz now and with Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, I can't remember, this kind of dynamic twosome at the tight end position. I mean, Goedert is obviously a much more talented version of Trey Burton. Trey Burton wasn't drafted and was a jack of all trades, and the Eagles did a really great job, Justin Peele doing a great job coaching up Trey Burton, putting him in position to make a lot of money in free agency, which he didn't. Good luck to Trey. But clearly, with these two extremely athletic players, both second-round draft picks, Ertz and Goddard, certainly will need to be refined. We'll need to get stronger. We'll need to improve his blocking, do all the things that coaches work with players on. But I don't think from just a pure talent standpoint, pass-catching ability to move and make defenses adjust to you and create favorable matchups. That's what this offense is all about, creating favorable matchups. Goddard really helps the Eagles in that capacity.
Dave, you wrote a brilliant column about Zach Ertz and his place as the veteran in that tight end room. What do you think that he's taken being in the locker room with Brent Selleck the last couple of years that's going to help him as he now sort of shifts into a mentorship role in helping bring Dallas Goedert along? Because the faster Goddard comes along, the better this offense can be in 2018.
Yeah, and this is a big jump for Goddard from South Dakota State to the NFL. So there's going to be a transition period that will have to happen pretty quickly here. So I think what Ertz really learned from Brent Selleck is you got to bring it every day in practice. You've got to be at your best every day. And what you do in this offseason, what you do from Monday to Saturday keeps you on the field on Sundays. And Selleck was such a great preparer, understood the nuances of the game, the little things, worked on improving his blocking. And remember, when Brent Selleck was a younger tight end, he was a pass catcher. He changed his game to stay on the field, to help this offense, to help this football team. And I think that's the lesson Zach Ertz learned from Selleck. I think that's the lesson that Zach Ertz now passes on to the rest of the tight ends as the dean in that room.
Eagles insider Dave Spadaro, can't wait to listen to the Eagles Live podcast to get the full recap as well as your On the Inside column later on this evening. Thank you so much.
All right, guys.
All right, so it's interesting looking at the tight end position. Historically, Keith Jackson was years and years ago the last time the Eagles had used a real high pick on a tight end. And now all of a sudden, between 2013 with Zach Ertz and now 2018 with Dallas Goedert, twice now the Eagles have used a second-round pick, a high pick, on the position.
I just kind of think it speaks to where the league is now in terms of creating those mismatches out in space. And I think that that speaks to the versatility that you've got now with a Zach Ertz and with a Dallas Goedert. We talked about what that can do for an offensive play caller. Doug Peterson has to be excited. I can't wait to hear from Doug about the addition of a Dallas Goedert and Carson Wentz as well. I think he's going to be very, very excited. Obviously, some of his brethren from the Dakotas. It's going to be interesting to see how Carson feels about the selection as well.
North Dakota, Carson Wentz represented. South Dakota now with Dallas Goedert. Very, very exciting times here in Philadelphia for the Super Bowl champions. We're going to take a quick break here on Eagles Draft Central presented by Dietz Watson. More analysis and reaction right on the other side.